Sherry and Rebecca, they're married to each other. They don't have sex with each other. They have sex with men, but nobody really cares about that. They each have a couple of kids with different guys. So there are 4 kids at their apartment with 4 different dads, which actually means no dads. They each raise their kids under the same roof. They share health insurance, but that's really about it. And of course, there are some guys around the complex. Billy Joe Bob just hangs around his mom's apartment. He's got a couple kids by different women. He doesn't feel any obligation to support any of them because he doesn't love any of these women or they're brats. The courts have decided after all that love makes a family. And Billy Joe Bob to make sure he doesn't earn very much money anyhow, so he doesn't have to pay anymore. His mom yells at him a lot, but he just laughs at her and does as he pleases. Then there's Luke. Luke got married to Sam when they were both in the military. They thought it'd be cool to get off base housing. And they figured when their tour of duty was up, they'd get divorced and it'd all be cool. But Sam got greedy and he decided to sue Luke for his pension. Luke ended up broke and living in this old broken down joint. Then there's little Ned. Ned has 2 mommies and 2 daddies. I should say he started off with 2 mommies and 2 daddies. They quarreled amongst themselves. They went to court over his custody and worked out an elaborate plan for sharing parenting amongst the 4 of them. Most of them got tired of being on the cutting edge of social change and they lost interest in little Ned. He used to cry at school every day because he never knew who was coming to pick him up. Now Ned lives here with his natural mom, Janet. Sometimes one of the other fathers or mother will come over and demand to see him, but his story ended up pretty well because most of these people just leave him alone most of the time now. Then there's Emily. Emily was bought and paid for by a guy who wanted a little girl. Of course, nobody would marry a creeper like this guy, so he bought an egg. He hired a surrogate, and he used his own sperm to have this little girl. The law now says that artificial reproduction is a service and children are commodities. Anyone who can pay gets to do anything they want. Anyhow, Emily's teacher figured out that something weird was going on and she called Child Protective Services. So now Emily lives here with her teacher, but she would live with her dad, or I should say, with her manufacturer, for 7 years before anybody stepped in to help her. Then there's Tom. You can't look at Tom without thinking of the old saying, nice guys finish last. Tom married some guy from Latin America who wanted a green card. They both agreed they'd get divorced as soon as the immigration process was sealed, but while that was going on, his husband, Alejandro, acquired a live-in girlfriend. She got pregnant. They used to ask Tom to look after the baby while they partied. He didn't think much of it. He was trying to help out and be a nice guy. Well, when the time came for Tom and Alejandro to get divorced, he found himself sucked into child support. Unbeknownst to him, the law of marriage says that any child born to one party during the life of their union is automatically the child of both. So when his girlfriend established that his husband was the father of the child, Tom became the parent also. They stuck him for child support. The 2 of them had this worked out from the beginning. He used to have a pretty nice car, live in a nice house. He still got a good job, but now he's stuck in this wreck of a place. Yeah, like I said, nice guys finish last. So you go up the stairs to the prayer meeting at Miss Lila's apartment. Not too many people are coming these days. Today it's just Miss Lila herself, Mrs. Garcia, and old Mr. and Mrs. Villanueva. They used to be active in Couples for Christ, a worldwide Filipino organization for married couples. But some same-sex couples wanted to join. The organization tried to accommodate them, Christian charity and everything, but those couples just didn't feel at home because so much of the Couples for Christ program material talked about how men and women should treat one another and how they could understand one another and how men and women should talk to each other. So the same-sex couple sued them, and the judge made Couples for Christ take out everything in the program that had anything to do with sex differences. Well, there wasn't much point to the program after that, and the American version of it shut down. Old Mr. and Mrs. Villanueva didn't quite know what to do with themselves after that, and they had lived and breathed Couples for Christ. So anyway, Miss Lila brought out the old plaster statue from its hiding place, and everybody brought out their prayer beads. They said their prayers for a while and drank coffee, and you and your grandson left. As you got on the train, you told your grandson, back in the day, these barter trains used to run all over the place. There aren't too many of them left now. You remember hearing back at the turn of the 21st century that how much money government was spending on taking care of kids without their own parents. Back then, it cost the U.S. government the equivalent of the GDP of New Zealand, $112 billion per year. You don't even want to think about what it costs today. So as you're riding along, your grandson says to you, why is Miss Lila so sad? Well, her brother used to be the Bishop of Oakland. He's been in jail for the last 10 years. She'd been praying for him all the time. Well, why do you go to jail? Well, you know that high school over on Fruitvale Avenue? Oh, yeah, sure. Von Walker High School. That used to belong to the Catholic Church. Your grandson's eyes get real wide. The church used to have schools. That school used to be called St. Elizabeth Ann Seton School. You couldn't bear to tell him that she had been a great pioneer of Catholic education in America. He wouldn't have understood such a thing. Yeah, the city tried to tell the bishop that the Catholic schools had to teach stuff that he didn't want to teach. Oh, what kind of stuff? Well, God knew what he was doing when he created men and women as different but equal. Marriage is between a man and a woman. Kids need a mom and a dad. Stuff like that. Nobody else was teaching it. So one day, the police came to force them to get rid of some books. All the parents came to the school to guard their kids and their books, and the bishop blocked the doorway of the school. The police took him away. Some of the parents tried to fight back, but when the police started taking their kids away and putting them in foster care, most of the parents gave up. The bishop's still in jail. Boy, he was one tough guy. He never backed down. You know, really, a lot of people really admire him, but they're afraid to say anything. Well, you aren't afraid, are you, Grandpappy? That's why we go over to Miss Lila's, isn't it? That's right. Grandpappy, you fought for the bishop, didn't you? Long, silent pause. The BART train rattles on. Grandpappy, you didn't do nothing to help the bishop, did you? No, I didn't do nothing. Well, here's our stop. Let's watch the Raiders play ball. So you and your grandson get out of the BART at the end of the line at the crumbling Colosseum, the last remnant of what was once a great civilization. Ladies and gentlemen, there is something at stake in the debate over same-sex marriage. There's a lot at stake, and it's our job to help people to understand that there are real people with real people's lives at stake in this debate. I would call your attention to the organizations at the back of the room, not only my own Ruth Institute, which reaches out to college students, but also to the Berkeley Students for Life who are back there, to the Intercollegiate Studies Institute, which is back there, which is an old and venerable conservative organization working on campuses all the time, to the Catholics for the Common Good, the booksellers, the C.S. Lewis Society. I urge you to get involved in this great debate in any way that you can, whatever serves your interests and capabilities and talents, whatever financial means you may have. I urge you to get involved, because 20 or 30 years from now, you don't want your grandson to say, Grandpappy, you didn't do nothing to help the bishop, did you? We can all do something to help the bishop. Thanks very much. Talk loud enough that I don't need the mic. So while they're doing that, let me just hold up a few things for you. This book is called Women, Sex, and the Church. It's put out by the Daughters of St. Paul, the Pauline Books and Media. This is a collection of essays about the various hot-button issues that have plagued the church, and I have one essay in here. I want you all to see this book because there are chapters in here about abortion, about contraception, the whole range of issues that the church has lost members over, if I could just be blunt about it, okay? And so this is a great book to use in high school theology classes, college theology classes, RCIA classes, whatever. I really recommend this book. We've got free flyers back there for you and a few copies that you can purchase now, or you can go to their website and get it. So I really want you to see that. Also, I want to mention we have a project, the Ruth Institute has a project for college students, which is called the Real Love Challenge. And real is spelled R-E-E-L, and it's for kids to make videos, YouTube videos, on how real love is possible, and how married love is possible. So if you have college students in your life, tell them about this program. And again, these flyers are free for the taking back there on the back table. So I'm ready for questions.
You will notice technology has helped us out again.
Excellent.
You don't need a microphone, but you have use of it.
Okay.
We're going to field some questions. Some people are going to be gathering questions. Dr. Morse, I want to start off by asking you, how do you see single mothers or single fathers living out loving economics?
What?
You're both loving economics.
Oh, love and economics.
Yeah, love and economics. Love and economics.
Okay. How do I see single mothers and single fathers living out love and economics? Well, the significance of single moms and single dads for love and economics was just this. In that book, what I was trying to do was to show the significance of parental cooperation, right? That mom and dad working together as a team is a great benefit to the child. And so the point is not to say that single mothers are bad people or that single dads are bad people. And it's not to say that every child of every single mother is going to become an axe murderer or something. You know, I mean, because that's obviously not true, and that's obviously not how it works. But I think we have enough data to know that the best odds for children is to have their moms and dads working together over the course of a lifetime in a low-conflict marriage. I mean, that's the ideal for kids. That's the best odds for kids. Is that a problem-free environment? No. Is it a guarantee? No, it is not. But I do think we can say something definitively, Steve, and that is that the women who are saying, I choose to become a single mother by choice, they are taking a very serious step. Okay? That is a very serious step in the sense that it's not that they become single moms because something unavoidable has happened, because they married a guy who turned out to be a creep, or their husband died, or their husband abandoned them, or something. This is a whole different realm of decision-making that a person is making here, deciding to be a single mother by choice. That's a whole different realm of problem. And the problem, there's kind of two problems with it. The main one being that it's a lifelong decision that the child will not have a relationship with their father. Okay, particularly when it's being done through anonymous sperm donation, which is the trend now. This is a very interesting trend. I'd like to call your attention to it for all of you. Most of you are faithful Catholics, and so have known for some time that the Church opposes contraception. When contraception first came on the scene, a lot of us were very excited. You know, I was a full participant in the sexual revolution. I mean, you know, we all have a whole great idea. This is going to be really fun to have sex without babies. Everybody thought this was great, you know. But now we're to the point where we're having babies without sex, which I'm pretty sure is not as much fun, you know. And, you know, it's kind of like skipping dessert and going straight for the Brussels sprouts, you know. But what it represents is a retreat from relationship. It's a retreat from human relationship. And that is necessarily a tragedy. That retreat is itself a tragedy because it means we're giving up on each other. We're giving up on each other. We have no right to give up on each other on the scale that we're talking about when we're doing something like that. So that's what I'd like to, that's what I think is a good way to think about the whole question of single parenthood. Part of it depends on how you became a single mom, and then there's